So I'd like to tell you about myself. I started my recycling career in 1997 out of West Africa. I set up a yard over there and I traveled to West Africa, the country called Togo, which was a very remote part of the Africa. And within 7 days, I started my, scrapyard over there. And within next 15 days, I started shipping out of there a lot of ferrous and non-ferrous scrap from there to India. Eventually, after a few years, I started some manufacturing facility in south of India, which was for aluminum extrusion and aluminum alloy industry. And after a few years, I quit that. I found that it is more interesting to source aluminum scrap for various manufacturers because the demand was growing in India, and I got into that. So what we are going to speak about the secondary aluminum. Why secondary aluminum? Because this metal has a very vast industrial growth, what I see. In India particularly, there are a lot of government policies have come, which is talking about the secondary aluminum uses. However, the aluminum production of primary aluminum in India is also there. The major producers like Hindalco, Nalco, Vedanta Group, they're producing a lot. But as far as energy consumption is there, due to that, the increase of secondary aluminum growth is coming up in India in a vast way. There are various government policies, the Green Revolution, and the future application is also driving growth of secondary aluminum in India. This is the most versatile waste metal, which is very light in nature, almost 3 times lighter than steel. It is a lightweight, very conductive in nature, non-corrosive, durable, highly recyclable, and its nature of highly alloyable. It is very friendly with other metals to make any kind of alloy which suits the applications, which is making aluminum as a very, very important metal in every kind of industry. There are two segments of aluminum industry, which is upstream and downstream. We talk about the upstream segment, which is a primary aluminum production from the bauxite ore, and the downstream is majorly the secondary aluminum, where the scrap-based manufacturing is there. Due to the scrap-based manufacturing, there is a lot of opportunities coming for the small entrepreneurs to set up an industry of secondary aluminum as a regional-based industry. For a country like India, where the demand outpaces supply, this is, however, we are the biggest, one of the biggest producers of aluminum. We need to utilize the secondary aluminum source from entire world. We have seen an interesting phenomenon since the pandemic had started, where the supply was very less, and the manufacturers has to depend on the primary aluminum, but they were not able to beat up the cost because the small manufacturers in India, which are distributed in the whole region. India is a very big country, the south of India, west of India, north of India, east of India. So everywhere, the application, the manufacturers are there everywhere the growth is coming up in infrastructure. If we talk about infrastructure, which is like extrusion industry, anybody who wants to get into manufacturing of extrusion, they can do with a affordable investment, which is like $2 million, which is none of the industry gives this kind of opportunity to set up a manufacturing base. So everywhere there are buildings are being built up, so there is a requirement of infrastructure, aluminum, which is for windows and other applications of aluminum in infrastructure and construction industry. Aluminum being the industrial metal, which is like when you are going to alloy with some other metals, and the numerous application is coming up due to highly alloyable nature of aluminum with other metals. It has proved the best deoxygen for manufacturing applications. This is the second most metal which is being used after steel. The various applications comes in where the major is automotive industry. And after that, the infrastructure and construction industry, there is hardware industry. And when the solar is started, a lot of solar panel is being manufactured by aluminum. So there is a lot of demand coming from the solar power industry. There is uses in railways, aeronautical, medical, packaging, and many more applications. Once you start with your day, you find that aluminum is everywhere. One day when I got up in the morning, I went to brush my teeth, I got the aluminum toothbrush. I freshened up with that aluminum. And I was getting late for the office, so I wrapped up my lunch in aluminum foil. And when I was feeling thirsty, I went to fetch up a beverage that was again in aluminum can, So I found that aluminum application is everywhere. So this area is very growing due to the nature of aluminum, all the industrial applications and all. The regional potential is in India is very vast because of the demand of aluminum everywhere in the remote area to the cities area. Because of the infrastructure development, India needs a lot of development. There is infrastructure development going on due to various government policies and programs like Make in India, National Capital Goods Policy, development of smart cities. The India has target 100 gigawatt solar capacity by 2020, 2025. Now the new application, the ELP policy has come, where you need the lighter metal to be used in automotive industry. What is needed for India to step up in the recycling game? Actually, in India, the domestic recycling is still not in place. Recently, government has made up that recycling in India should also be industrialized, like the Tata has set up recently one shredder plant where they are going to shred all the scrap, vehicle scrap and other kind of scrap which is coming from every part, like everyday usage and everything which is not being used in India. So scrap is everywhere. It has to be, bring into certain in every part. There has to be a shredder. There has to be scrap yards, which is like in US and other part of the world where the scrap yard is being set up and which is being used as a opportunity to make a big business in metals. India should be encouraging the youth to join the recycling industry. It is a very fast growing market, especially in infrastructure, power, energy development. It gives you an opportunity for being an entrepreneurship. It has got very affordable investment as well. The construction sector, India is far behind in development of real estate and all, which is since last 5 to 10 years, it is growing like anything. And still it has to grow. If we talk about the aluminum consumption in India, it is just 2.5% compared to the world 11%. And if we compare to China consumption, which is 24%. So still there is a lot of scope to grow in next coming years. The secondary aluminum also gives an opportunity for employment of semi-skilled, non-skilled, and skilled workers in India. Because of the cheap labors over here, there is, due to low labor cost, a lot of scrap from the world can be imported here and can be segregated into a pure metal and can be re-exported out of India. Recently, China has stopped highly attachment like mixed metal kind of scrap into China. So India has got an opportunity to absorb that opportunity to import all kind of mixed metal, segregate those metals. And due to cheap labor, it is like possible to do that, which is very cost effective, and then can be, re-exported out of India as a secondary metal as well in forms of ingots. Recently, I've learned lot of ADC12 automobile ingots is being exported to China, Japan, and there is a lot of demand. The prices are going up in Japan and China because there the recycling is limited. So they're looking at the Southeast Asian market to be, imported from there. So India is one of them. This secondary uses of the scrap metal, particularly aluminum, is giving an opportunity to reduce the mining. Secondary metal like aluminum uses only 5% of the energy compared to the primary metal production, and 3% of total water what is being used for the primary production. And why not? If we can use aluminum, secondary aluminum as a scrap to fulfill the requirement of the every industry which is required for, there is a tremendous growth of scrap metal uses in India. We are looking at 8 to 10% of compounded annual growth rate in the Asia Pacific region. Right now, we are growing at a level of 6 to 7%. The demand of aluminum is growing day by day due to various sector applications. If we talk about the raw product which is being used in various industry, in transportation, in railways, in aerospace industry, it's like extrusion of products, forging of aluminum. If we are die casting the aluminum in automotive industry, and there is a huge lot of most of the companies, automotive companies, have set up manufacturing base in India due to lower cost of manufacturing in India, which is giving an opportunity of automobile industry growth in India. And the secondary aluminum manufacturers of alloys, which is being used in automotive industry, which is like various kind of like ADC 12, 356, which is being produced for the wheels and all. And there are various alloy grade which is being produced by the scrap metal. You need not to go for primary metal to produce the die cast material. If you are aware that in ADC 12 and all, the silicon metal is also like 8 to 10% silicon contents are there. Now silicon metal is in a scarce. The prices before COVID pandemic, it was $2,000 to $2,500. Now it is $9,000. So alloy manufacturers are trying to use more and more of the scrap metal of alloy grade to produce the aluminum alloy, which is being used in alloying industry, because silicon is already there. So they need not to add silicon metal from outside to make the proper alloy. So it has become very cost effective to the manufacturers. Today, I would say there is 25% only recycling growth in India compared to world, which is 45%. India is having like 800,000 tons of bauxite reserve to be saved every year if the recycling rate goes up to 45%. There are 3 to 4 million tons of aluminum consumption per year, out of which 1.5 million, almost 50%, which comes from the secondary aluminum, which is like a scrap metal. 90% of the secondary aluminum consumed is imported, despite the significant amount of scrap metal is available in India. But due to this being there scattered and it is not organized, scrap yards and processes, it is very hard to use the domestic scrap which is available. The 120,000 tons of aluminum scrap generated only due to automotive and power segments. If I would say, if we leave apart the day-to-day, scrap generation, which comes in terms of like beverage cans, aluminum foils, other daily goods which is being used for the aluminum, cans and all. So every day you are generating aluminum scrap everywhere. That has to be recollected in a proper manner. It has to be, processed to make it in a proper use for the secondary aluminum growth, which is lacking in India. And now due to government policies, it is coming up in shape, and we are looking that in the future, India is going to be, the exporter of aluminum or other scrap metal as well, in spite of, being the importer of the different scrap metal. The introduction of ELV metals, ELV vehicles has also bring an opportunity for aluminum to being a lightweight, of course, to get into, various applications in LV, which is like LV station, charging station has to be made all over India. Once the LV vehicles, some of the vehicles have started, but still we have to go far away. There is like solar power generation. As I told you, like we have to reach like 24 trillion, 100 trillion gigawatt power generation in next 5 years. So we need lot of solar panel, which is being made out of aluminum. So this aluminum has got vast demand in India in coming years. We are using this aluminum in various industry, which is replacing various products also, being as a nature of aluminum, being the light metal and all, because the packaging industry, they're replacing plastic, construction, replacing wood, transportation, replacing steel. So aluminum is everywhere. We talk about all the FMCG products also, aluminum is being used. A lot of industrialization is going on in India, and for that, lot of infrastructure has to be developed. The green revolution has also bring in the scrap metal to be reprocessed and put into various uses wherever it is required. Aluminum being, the soft metal, first of all, and its nature of and the composition, it can be alloyed with various metals. If you require in aerospace, like 7000 series is being used. So they need hardness and all the tensile strength, but the aluminum can be used. And like automobile industry, as I told you, there is vast applications in the it's like making the vehicle lightweight. It has now the aluminum is being used as and all the sheet metals. So there are various applications of aluminum which is coming up. Aluminum is a very great deoxygen, which is like being used for the protection of steel industry and all. And there is a lot of other applications which is coming up day to day due to like various development and research going on, how to make the great use of aluminum, bringing down the cost, bringing down the lighter metal. Once you feel light, everywhere the whatever is, if you are able to use the light metal, why to go for the heavy metals? So it is replacing the light metals everywhere, where it is power industry, like the high tension wire to transport electricity. So the aluminum cable is being used, and the government policy to give power to 24/7 to each and every part of India. So there is a great demand of power cables, high tension power cables, where the ACSR cable is being used for the carry as a carrier. And of course, in the solar power industry, even the hydropower industry is coming up. A lot of places in India where there is a great demand. So what I see, there is a great scope of aluminum in India in coming years, which is bringing the opportunity to most of the people to trade in India from various parts of the world. So thank you very much. If anybody has any specific questions. Hello.
Thank you very much, Abhay. We now have about 15 minutes for questions. If you are unable to, you can turn your own mic on and jump in anywhere. So please feel free to ask any questions that you like. If you're unable to unmute your mic, drop that question in the chat, and Abhay will be able to take a look at those and get to you. Abhay, that was very informative. If I might jump in first, I'm taking some notes here. I'm really surprised at the growth rate of aluminum in India. I think it was 6.7% per year. That's incredible. But I think the thing that amazed me the most is I really had no idea that so little aluminum was being recycled in India. I've been to India many times, 20 times or more, I would say. So, I've always known India to be very resourceful, and the people are very good at basically, I thought recycling everything, honestly. And but I see your stats: 25% of the aluminum is recycled in India versus 45%. So I assume that means that it's going to the landfill. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it is not organized actually. So that's why the different government policies have come to make it as a very organized sectors. That's why the biggest group, the Tata Group, has come up with the recycling facility in north of India. So now they are attracting, they're telling people to wherever it is, bring to our yard and we will pay you the price, because I have traveled almost 40 countries in my career, everywhere, whether it is South Africa or USA and Europe. So I can see a board, everywhere, cash for scrap.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
you bring the scrap and get the cash. Where India we can't see like that kind of, so we have to create a setup of mind of the people that this is a very good business, and this is a regional business where the scrap yard can be set up every part of the India.
Absolutely.
Because it is being generated everywhere in terms of foil, in terms of beverage cans, in terms of all other goods which is being used on daily basis, or where you are going the destruction of old buildings, you're getting the aluminum. So that has to be properly, get into the recycling and reprocessing.
Well, I can understand a little more with, from household, aluminum waste, basically. I could understand a little more how that ends up being landfill, but with a number like that, I have to assume we're talking about construction, demolition type material as well, right? We're talking about industrial waste.
Yeah. Industrial and automotive, like if we go around a lot of it's like vehicles, which is like not being scrapped. It is a piles of vehicles everywhere in India is there. So once it will start the scrapping over there, if it goes to the shredder, we can generate a huge amount of scrap in coming years. All the accidental vehicles, now there is a rule that after 15 years, you have to, throw your vehicles, and, they cannot be allowed to run on the road. So there will be huge generation of, scrap metal, automotive scrap. So that has to be recycled. So infrastructure has to be developed in India to, get the proper recycling of the metal, not to make it, throw it in a garbage, which has a, value in it.
It's really a shame. Like it's a really a shame to not recycle aluminum. You mentioned also another note that I jotted down here. 800,000 tons of bauxite would be saved if the recycling rate were up to 45% mark. However, have you ever looked at that in terms of energy? Because that's the big one, right?
Yeah, that's the big one. But when you are recycling the secondary aluminum, you are, absorbing only 5% of energy compared to the primary aluminum. And only 3% of water is being, used in the secondary aluminum. Whereas if you're producing aluminum from bauxite or you have vast energy consumption.
It seems to me the governments would have a huge incentive to get involved in this, because obviously anything to take stress off the power grid in India is going to be welcome, right? So if you can
Yeah.
just do the recycling, you can save 95% energy consumption. And this is such a, and that's another thing, to make aluminum, it costs so much energy. Like it's a shame to even think about putting it in a hole somewhere. And so, yeah, I really, it's amazing. That's a big problem, but I think more we make, it's good that you're bringing this to make people aware of this, because this is something that has to change. 100%. Is it other people?
No, definitely. Once the Tata has come up, the others will also come up. And I think in coming years, because 2 years has been wasted due to this pandemic when the Tata started this.
Yeah.
So we have been approached by Tata's group that you guys are into this recycling. So why don't you get all the people to supply this to our scrapyard,
Right.
where we are going to proper recycle it.
Right. It's we have about 20 people in the session right now. We still have about 9 more minutes. Certainly a few of you must have some questions for Mr. Kumar here. So please drop those in the chat or turn your mic on and fire away. Maybe Ashish or Dinesh. While we're waiting for folks to formulate their questions, I'll just announce a couple of things just as a reminder. We are, so at the top of the hour, we're going to have a product demo, TradeFox product demo. So we're going to take a small break of about 15 minutes before we start that. And the following session in this keynote session room is by Zain Ahmed, and he's going to talk about the steel industry of Pakistan. I have had a chance to have an early session with him this morning at 4 a.m. And man, that guy's got so much knowledge. I can't wait to see this presentation. So if you want to watch that keynote, you'll stick around in this room. If you have one-on-one meetings, top of the hour, we're going to have the one-on-one sessions. A number of you I see here do have one-on-one meetings. So I'm going to put a link in the chat now. This would be a link back to the agenda. So if you want to go for the one-on-one meetings, again, at the top of the hour, follow this link back to the TradeFox conference tab. Select the one-on-one meetings link, and also keep in mind at half an hour after. So this is 15:30 our time. Mark Lewan is going to be giving a keynote, technology in the mining and scrap sectors and how it's influencing production and replacing hard to find workers. Some really interesting stuff coming up. All right, guys, anybody else here have a question? Please ask away. All right, I think we've given everybody a fair shot here. Abhay, listen.
Yeah, I would say it's like on the application voice, like in India, so lots of things were imported from China, which has just stopped and being manufactured in India. Or like if you go to hardware industry, we talk about the hardware industry, a lot of products were being imported out of China, which has just stopped and now being manufactured in India. Like this aluminum furniture have started, making out in where you can go do the garden furnitures and all. And there are like various applications, even the, from aluminum, I have seen one industry who are making the all kind of, even with the aluminum, you can make the complete house, being the complete house, So in the hilly area, being the light metal, so a lot of people have started making a small houses with the aluminum sheets and all, with the extruded. And aluminum, because of the finish, when you are going to, do the powder coating, so it gives you whatever finish you want. Everybody wants, like if they have the, they want the wood finish. Oh, I don't want that. It should look like I'm using metal. My house should look that it is made of, my doors and windows are of wood. So the aluminum gives a wood finish, which is fantastic. You cannot, unless you, know that whether it is. So it is a fantastic material,
I
and
love
there
it.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I think it's always it always amazes me how versatile aluminum is as well. Not only in the way that it can be used to, as conductor, so it can be used in electrical circuits and lines and so on,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but also, as a material, you can use it for something like aluminum cans all the way to rockets. You can
Yes,
cast it.
yes.
It's super durable. The weight to strength ratio is very favorable to almost any type
Yeah,
of
you can
construction.
cast, you can forge, you can extrude. So
Yeah.
based on the application, whatever way you want, you can make uses of it. Like the modular kitchen right now, these days have become, from the aluminum, which is giving a fantastic finish of your kitchen. So there are a lot of industries are coming up here in India as well, because these products were, being imported out of China. Now a lot of manufacturing base has set up.
I'm just putting a small note in there regarding. We got a
And a
couple
lot of
questions.
exports are being done. The extruded products are being exported to African countries a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We
So
got a couple.
most of the automobile industry has put up here manufacturing facilities, particularly in south of India and west of India, like the cities like Pune and Chennai,
Hmm.
and and north of India, like in Haryana state and all, and which is a lot of vehicles are being exported out of here, because of the low cost of manufacturing. So there is a exponential growth of aluminum in these sectors because a lot of companies are coming here. So
Yes.
we need lot of aluminum to be being used as a
Hey, we have a question that snuck in over here. Mr. Rohan Gupta has popped a very good question in here.
yeah.
He said he's being
Hi,
an
Rohan.
avid admirer of the recycling business revolution going on across the globe. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts on electric vehicles, EV cars, incorporating aluminum? Is it feasible?
definitely. Because if you're using a ELV car, you need a very, very light car, An ELV car is a very light car. Where and even if you're going to make the power station for the ELV car, there are also a lot of aluminum. You have to. There is a uses of aluminum over there as well. That's why in ELV car, that aluminum, what I have heard, because I have some friends in the automotive industry working over there. So they were telling that a lot of components of other metals are being replaced with aluminum,
Hmm.
extruded products, to make it lighter and efficient in energy. So that's why definitely ELV car is going to bring more applications of aluminum.
So what do you think about a steel frame versus, I don't know if is it feasible to create a rigid frame from cast aluminum or some type
Yes,
of, okay,
definitely, definitely.
right? Okay.
Because once you are using in aerospace,
Yeah.
why not in vehicle?
Yes.
So 7000 series gives you a very hard and tough base, which cannot be, it is light, but
Mhm.
it is as good as strong as steel.
Okay, 7,000 series. And just for my education here, what is the alloy in 7,000 series that brings the strength to it, or what is the
And there is,
metallurgy?
yeah, there is titanium being used as a alloying metal.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Titanium.
Okay. So that's a very expensive, and this is lies the reason why steel is obviously used
Yeah,
because of the
yeah,
cost, right? So
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Aluminum has big every metal.
yeah.
Uh,
Very interesting. There's one more question here. Mark Lewan is asking, has the Indian government been more cooperative with the aluminum industry in India than they have with the steel industry?
no, definitely. The government is bringing a lot of policy
Mm.
where, it's like, and they're very They're giving various plans to make a growth of aluminum industry apart from because aluminum, there are various major manufacturers like Hindalco, Nalco, as I told you. There was like even the government, it was the public sector as well, which is converted into private sectors. So aluminum is the second after steel, which is being given importance in the government policies.
Mm.
We have a lot of bauxite ore as well in
Yep.
India. So
Heard
that's
that.
why, so government has a very important role to give the aluminum industry growth. And they are giving all kind of support to grow this industry.
Where is that bauxite, or where are the areas that bauxite is
Uh,
mined?
bau- Bauxite is coming out of Odisha and that is coming out of Jharkhand. These are the two states.
Okay.
And there are some reserves in MP as well, but not so. That's why there is Hindalco factories in those areas.
Okay. Yeah, I think I recall that bauxite is the most plentiful. I guess you'd say, I think it's metal on the planet, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Easier to get to, but very expensive
This is,
to make.
yeah,
because of-
this is, yeah. Yeah, definitely. This metal has got very important, characteristic in the whole periodic table, I would say.
When as we are moving forward very rapidly towards a production of green energy. I mean, I saw the statistic about the India's goal to have a certain percentage of production via solar energy, and of course, it's going to continue. India certainly has enough sunlight. We're going to get the cost of energy is going to come down lower and lower, and I would imagine,
Yes.
you correct me which I'd like to know your thoughts on it, but I would imagine that as energy costs come down, that aluminum is going to become even more affordable as an alternative to steel.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Not only that, like for a person, as I told you, being, as an entrepreneur, this is the only metal which gives you a chance to, with the less investment, you can get into manufacturing business.
Mm-hmm.
The capacity you can start with 200 metric tons of capacity of extruded plant, which attracts hardly $2 million, which is nothing. And
Yeah.
you become an industry man,
Yeah.
And there are very crude kind of, domestic methods where people are into aluminum, getting into diox manufacturing, I've seen. They are making diox out of earth pit, small furnaces of 50 kg, 100 kg, 200 kg.
Right.
Just putting all kind of, scrap metal into that, melting that and pulling it over and just putting on the, and getting into the diox, converting into the diox, which has got very less investment. And even for the converting, extracting the aluminum out of the dross, which has got hardly any investment here. So there is a lot of opportunity because the labor is very cheap over here. So this kind of all sort of aluminum or other metal can be, reprocessed and bring into the proper uses.
Absolutely. And there's one more question, and we'll have to take a 10-minute break, give everybody a chance to take a short break and come back for the session with Torrance, the product demo. Is trihydrate bauxite the most imported? Asked Alessandro. Trihydrate bauxite, is that the most imported element or type of bauxite?
Yeah.
Okay. But do you still have plenty of bauxite, it sounds like? So but yet you have a lot of import in ore? What does that look like?
Import as well, that depends. Like there are like Hindalco being the oldest or Nalco. So they have their own mining, licenses.
Okay.
But the other industry which is coming up in this sector, becoming a primary aluminum manufacturers, so they have to depend on the imports of bauxite.
Okay.
Unless you get a fresh mine lease from the government.